Hey guys, I'm Chuck here with the 10 most overrated games. Remember, these are just opinions, so if you disagree, this doesn't require death threats. When I post up this video, comments and ratings will be open, but if things go too bad, they'll be shut off. I would also like to say a game being overrated does not make it bad. In fact, most of these on this list will be all-time classics on here. Just some certain things about them or certain things people say that make them overrated. One last time, my opinions, my video. If you disagree, go make your own list instead of leaving a nasty comment. Number 10 on our list today is the game well known, Fable by Microsoft. It's got some fun parts and perks, but people often praised it for being totally explorable and unlinear. Years before this game, Morrowind was released. You could go anywhere. Every square inch of the game was accessible. Fable, you always have to walk on a set path. Although you can go to any set of these set paths, you cannot go into the background or into part of the forest, and the controls had some problems. I always found myself locking onto the wrong person and hitting them, which was never a good thing since it put your evil rating up and I was trying to have a good character. It's also pretty repetitive. Number 9 on our list is Super Metroid. I can hear some of the Nintendo fanboys from here screaming at the moment, but as I said before, just because a game's overrated doesn't make it a bad game. Super Metroid was great and lots of fun, but the line that got it on here was people constantly saying, best on the SNES. Super Metroid could probably rank in the top 10 or 20, but you just can't beat things like Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World in one cartridge. Number 8 is the Mario Kart series. I always had fun playing this game as a kid, but playing it today, I just can't seem to get it. You're driving around, and the entire race is based on power-ups. If someone hits you with the blue shell or the red shell, if it weren't for the power-ups, you'd always be in first place, and no one would ever pass you. It's more of a power-up game than it actually is a racing game. So conclusion on Mario Kart, it's fun, but doesn't really fit the genre. Number 7 on our list is a combination between World of Warcraft and Guild Wars. These are both online MMOs. Guild Wars has a devoted fan base and is actually pretty cheap, can be picked up for around 20 bucks, but it's really not that fun. Unless you have a party, which you often won't, especially if you're on a slower connection, you'll just be repetitively fighting by clicking enemies and running up to them on your own. It's boring pretty fast. World of Warcraft fixes some of the problems, like you can choose to be any race, use interesting magics, and most of the combats you have with parties. Pretty fun, but I don't see who would pay 15 bucks a month to play the game. Number 6 on our list is on everyone's overrated list, Madden NFL Series. Hey kid, you wanna go play some football? Wanna play on our new Madden? Same game as last year? Is it 2008, 2007, 2009? You won't be able to tell because they're all the same thing. If you wanna play some football, do yourself a favor and go outside and do it with some friends. That goes for every sports game really, but Madden takes the crap for having the same game as last year in a brand new package. Number 5 is an RPG well known, the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy is okay, really. Again, it's one of those good games that got a little too much praise. It's essentially just hitting back and forth and casting a few magic or healing spells. Not all that complicated. But at least it has a little more depth than the next one on our list. Number 4 will cause more Nintendo fanboys to have heart attacks. Pokemon. What's the point of this? There's no depth to the battle system at all. Most people will end up using the same party of 6 Pokemon throughout the whole game. They each have 4 attacks. That's 24 attacks you'll be using throughout 100 hours of gameplay. Sure, there's that little fun part for catching them and collecting them, or gotta catch them all or whatever, but there's absolutely no depth to the battle system, and people buy it and give it 10s. Why? Number 3 on my list today are the new Sonic games. No, not the old Sonic games for Genesis. No, those were good. Those were fun and properly rated. I'm talking about the Blue Hedgehog's transition to 3D. There have barely been any fun 3D games for him. Most are crap, glitchy, terrible voice acting, and just really plain don't work out. Yet people keep buying them anyway. Sega's really got a monopoly going here. I mean, they release a crappy game, and fans from the 80s, or New Generation, or whatever, they just keep buying them, which makes Sega not try, and creates another crappy Sonic game that gets overrated and a bestseller. All critics see these are terrible, but most users think they're good somehow. Number 2 is going to cause some of you to fall out your chair, scream, break your computer, and die of cardiac arrest within about 2 seconds. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. A great game deserving of somewhere between 9 to 9.75. So why is it on here? It's one of those great games that got too much praise. The only line that got it anywhere on this list was best game ever. I can tolerate reviews that say possibly best game ever, but almost every review I've read of this game says best game ever somewhere in it. Ocarina of Time was a great game, but not the best game ever. Number 1 on the list shouldn't surprise many of you. Wii Sports, Play, Music, whatever. Who keeps buying these? So, Wii Sports, okay, the game was not too terrible, but it probably sold more copies than it should. But what I'm really hating on here is Wii Play. I can't understand why this sell. The game is so mediocre, it has no depth. All the mini games, all of them can be beaten in about 3 hours, and they're all boring as crap. Most critics hate this game. For a while, it was the best-selling game out there, and most people thought it was just because it was the only way to get a second Wiimote. But afterward, it continued to sell even after Nintendo let out Wiimotes separately. Oh god, I just don't know who's buying this. What is the problem? Can't they tell that this game sucks? The Wii has had its perks and its good games and its good points, but Wii Sports, Wii Music, and Wii Play are not one of them and do not deserve to be sold as much as they are. Thank you for watching, and stick around to see the 5 most underrated games of all time.